Hello, this is my final for advanced game design. So I'll go over the scene and then some of the things in the editor and then go over some of the code later. First of all, here's my scene. You can see it in the scene view, but I'll be showing a lot of it at runtime. So I guess the first thing I want to go over is the assets. I made this robot, modeled it, and textured it. The original concept is from a movie, but I created it. And then the environment is a free package that I got called like Fantasy Forest or something very basic like that. It's got terrain and generated trees. And then the character I got was from Mixamo, and including her animations and her texture. I did give her a toon shader, which I'll talk about a little later. But that's about it for the assets, and I'll go over the other things as they come up. So I guess before I hit play, I want to say that there's a snow timer. Basically, it's going to be snowy when it starts, and then after a set number of seconds, snow will go away and butterflies will come out. So that's where all these things are plugged in: the ground material, the snow particles, and the butterflies. So if I hit play, you'll see it's snowy. There's snow coming down, and then 7 seconds went by, and then there you go. The snow's gone, and the butterflies came out. And the butterflies are a animation that I downloaded. They are, let's see, they're just flat, kind of billboarding sprites. And I have where is it? Let's see. I have a simple camera controller. So one of the things is when it was snowy, it's not snowy now, so it doesn't really make sense. But you can see when I look up, the screen kind of freezes, and that's a 2D texture that I created. Basically, it's just set to let's see, where is that? Here. So it's this image, and then it's got a script on it that just, first of all, you can see where it sets the alpha, and it scales up the alpha of the material. So it's always there. It's just the alpha is set to 0 when you're not looking at above a certain degrees angle on the camera. So yeah, that's that, and I just hit a button. But so yeah, and then in the back I have fake God rays. You can see she's moving because she's set to the same camera controller, some of the same inputs. So ignore her movement. You can see that I have God rays, but they're just kind of billboarding planes with a gradient on them, but they work pretty well, I think. So anyways, where is the robot? I got lost now. Anyway, okay, I'm going to restart this scene. So that's the environment, and then I'll show you the well, first of all, okay, so that I guess now you can get the snowy experience, but the post-processing effects, you can see there's fog in the background. There's depth of field, so the background's a little blurry, and then so is the foreground. And then there's a tiny bit of chromatic aberration that you can kind of see in the corners, just a little bit, maybe not even captured in the video, but kind of helps give it some stylized feel and a little bit of depth, maybe. So then I've got this character controller, right, and she's been moving around, but so she, and you can actually see the depth of field if she gets close to the camera. She's very blurry. So she can walk. She has this walking animation. She has a sort of hobble animation, where I guess if she'd injured, like an injured sprint, and that's all set up to the animator, which I can show. And then she has this touch animation where she can change the shader of the robot. And so these are all, it's pretty much the same texture for each one, but it's 3 different shaders. A cell shader that I created with the graph editor, the standard surface shader, and then another cell shader that uses this moss system. And so I'll go over that. So there you go, mossy cell. Basically, I can change all these effects, like the coverage of the moss. It's got hard kind of steps because I wanted this kind of hard sort of hand-done feel to it, so I didn't want it to seem so natural. That's why it's got sort of posterized jumps. You can see there. You can see it's a little bit posterized. So kind of scrolls along there, and you got your moss, and you can also change like how many layers. So you can give the moss a lot more density and kind of its resolution. Or if you looked on the left there, you can change the resolution essentially. And I think 4 was a good one. Oops. And you can give it a little bit of a bump, but because the mesh is so low poly, it doesn't really work well. There just aren't enough vertices for that. But that functionality is there in the shader. And yeah, you can change the color, you can change the scale, so make it kind of a lot of moss, and just play around with whatever works best. And again, if you press E on the keyboard here, she'll touch and cycle through the shaders. And let's see. Yeah, I guess, and then the last thing in the game that I want to show is that you can go up and punch the robot. So, boop, there you go. And he's locked on one axis, so he'll go back and he'll rotate along that axis, but he won't kind of spin around in uncontrollable ways. He's got a hitbox there, and I think I could probably get him to flip again if I want. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, that's the editor section, or the I guess the game section of this video. I'm probably going to cut it and then do the editor. So thanks for this section.